Sup nerds, in today's showcase I'm going to show you how I built this Telegram chatbot in n8n that can take voice and text messages. But before we jump in, if you are interested in learning to master n8n and want my help, or if you want me to build your business a custom n8n automation, click the link in the description to schedule a free one-on-one call with me and discover the possibilities. Now let's get dangerous. Okay, and to start us off, I have set up the Telegram trigger to listen for a test event. Can you get today's date? And look at that, our message has just come in on the Telegram trigger. Now this switch node is going to check whether it's a text or a voice. And we see if we execute the step, it gets passed down the text path. And all this set field node does is send the message right back to our AI agent. And our AI agent is, well, it's not really that sophisticated. What it really does is know the current date in case it needs to do that to do our thing. You should output the result and don't include any link. Okay, cool. Execute the step. What's it going to give us? It is, in fact, October 12th, 2025. And if we execute the send response, we've got our reply from Aviva. Today's date is October 12th. 2025. Now, what happens when it receives a voice message? Well, let's have a look at this. So let's do exactly the same thing we just did. Set the Telegram trigger to listen for an event. And look at that. It pulled a voice message that we've sent to Aviva. Let's execute this step. And our text branch is empty. If we look in the output, that's perfectly normal because everything actually got sent through the voice branch. So let's see how that gets treated by the workflow as we go on. So here we see the get voice node. Let's execute this, see what, and it gets the binary data for the voice file. Normally data in n8n workflows goes through a JSON body, just like this. Bit of a fun fact, but JSON is actually short for JavaScript object notation. But when n8n handles something like an audio file or an image file or a video, it's pretty common for it to handle it as binary data. That's a little trickier to handle if you don't know what you're doing. Now let's go ahead and look at this OpenAI transcribe the voice node. This is probably the easiest part of handling binary data, by the way, is all you really have to do is tell the receiving node what kind of file it's going to receive. And usually it'll have a field like input data field name or something generic like that. You just want to put data because that is the same name that you'll usually get from a binary file. So it will just know what it should do. So in this case, we are just transcribing the audio. Look at that. Can you get today's date, please? And we get to even see the duration in seconds, which is pretty cool if you wanted to do something fancy. And you can see we even get the duration in seconds, which is pretty fancy if you wanted to do different things. For example, if you wanted a more in-depth research agent to handle more complicated queries, then you can just set up some simple logic to detect if the message is longer and just send it to that AI agent instead. Right after that, we've got an edit fields node. Once more, nothing too crazy. We're just sending text that shows us the text value of the voice message and the session ID once more. Can you get today's date, please? And our AI agent, let's go ahead and execute that. Perfect. Now, all we've got to do is get it to send that response. And look at that. There we have it. So all in all, this is a pretty simple setup. And as always with n8n, there's nothing you really can't do once you figure out what node you need. That's 90% of the problems you're going to have in n8n. And the part I'm really interested in personally is this little tool here. So you can start calling other n8n workflows. You can make HTTP requests. That alone opens up a whole world of possibilities. A lot of n8n creators will use this to create personal assistants, for example, and dedicated agent to manage your email, one to manage your calendar, things like that. And one in particular that I think is quite interesting is an artist agent. After all, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know what custom GPTs are. They're basically ChatGPT with custom instructions. And what's really interesting to me about custom GPTs is that you have exactly the same options in n8n, except you have more options for the chat model. So for example, if you had a custom GPT that you really like, but you're like, man, I really wish this was powered by Gemini instead of by OpenAI, you could build something like that in n8n quite easily, in fact. And if you remember, guys, from a couple weeks ago, we did a tutorial on building custom GPTs that function as artists of a specific art style. That's something that I've been interested in for a long time, because not only does it give you finer controls over its art style than traditional AI image tools, but you can also optimize those to create human-looking art by asking for traits that don't often exhibit in the default art that AI image tools generate, which obviously make it look AI. So you could have AI artists as a tool here specifically tailored to your brand, and you could even have multiple of them and prompt this AI agent, hey, if it asks for this type of style, go to this one. If it asks for that one, go to that one. At any rate, I'll link you to that custom GPT tutorial at the end if you want to check it out. So yeah, I mean, this build looks simplistic and out of the box, it isn't capable of all that much, but the sky really is the limit if you know what you want and you know how to build it. Now, if you are interested in mastering n8n and you want my help, or if you want me to build your business a custom n8n automation, click the link in the description to schedule a free call with me and discover the possibilities. But that's gonna wrap up today's video. As always, be sure to leave a like, share your thoughts with the class, and before you subscribe, make sure you know what you're doing, because it ain't easy being at the top. We'll see you guys next time.